Hello, I'm Jenny Luscombe, and I'm a facilitator of healing and a very passionate advocate for self-healing. I'm just about to do my show on Holistic Radio, which is on Telegram, and that's 5 till 6 every Monday. That's 5 till 6 p.m. UK time. So it would really help me to help as many people as possible. If you like what you've seen here today, or you think it could help someone, to like and share and subscribe. And today's show is going to be all about pain. So this is physical pain in the body. But I'm going to make this very broad. This is also about mental and emotional pain because really that's what physical pain consists of. And you can also apply the treatment of that and the permanent healing of that to any physical symptom in your body. There are ways of locating and identifying the emotional root to that pain or to that symptom. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So thank you for listening. Lots of love. Hello, this is Jenny Luscombe, and this is Feeling is Healing. So today I'm going to be talking about pain. So the reason that I'm going to talk about pain is because I've noticed that a lot of people's emotion and mental patterns and trauma is starting to become physical in the body. And I think that's happening more at the moment because the energies of the earth are so high, and the universe is pushing us to recognize and identify certain things that we need to move through, like certain gates that we have to go through. Like I was talking to a client today, and I was sort of describing it like sort of like an initiation, but it's like here's the universe is just like flashing a light at you and saying, here's a thing that you really have to look at now because your body is calling to you. So pain is very like that. So when you have pain in your body, wherever it is, and you might have pain in more than one area of your body, wherever it is, whatever that is, even if it's a physical symptom but not a pain, you wouldn't describe it as a pain, like an infection or a skin problem or um, something is not fully in working order in your body, any physical symptom, I'm going to sort of put under the umbrella today of pain because the treatment of it energetically is the same. So it doesn't really matter if it's a physical pain, a physical symptom, an emotional pain, a mental pattern, um, whatever it is, a limiting belief, whatever it is, um, there's something for you to see. So I'm keeping it very broad today. So this is all about negative emotion as well as mental pain and physical pain. Because ultimately that's what your pain is, and obviously that's not mainstream thought. Um, it's basically your body's voice calling out to you. So your body's voice when you have a symptom is calling out to you, and it's saying there's all these things in your subconscious mind, in your storage space that hurt you. There's all these things that hurt you, and you never felt it. So there's all this information that you don't know, that if you knew it, you would see the ways out of what you're in. So it's kind of like a bit of a map. It's like your physical symptoms, your emotional and mental symptoms, your emotions. It's like a map. It's like a path that you can follow because ultimately your emotion contains information. And it isn't until you sit in stillness with something, with a problem, with a physical symptom, with a circumstance in your life. It's not until you sit in stillness and you allow it all to be there that you actually receive the full story. So if you don't ever look at your emotion, or you don't ever stop in stillness and look at your symptoms and wonder about them with curiosity and allow some time to pass while you're doing that, then you will never actually receive your map. You'll never receive the way out. So, I mean, that might sound a bit doom and gloom, but if you flip it, it means that you're always in control and you always actually have access to empowering yourself to move out of what you are in. Somebody that I've been sort of paying attention to for a couple of years now is Laurie Ladd. And she, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she teaches this really well. And I was sort of into her a while ago and then didn't really watch her that much. And I've just re-engaged with her. And she's kind of reminded me of loads of things that I'd kind of started to forget about and not do regularly. And she's kind of re-sparked me in my own practice, really. I kind of sometimes when life gets a bit busy or chaotic, you kind of forget to practice what you preach, don't you? And I'm all about being what I teach. So yeah, like she said a few things actually. I think like I'm just going to share a couple of things that she said the other day that I made a note of. Like she is talking about when we have symptoms, whatever that is, pain, emotional pain, mental pain, physical disease, a problem in our life, a relationship issue, whatever it is to keep reminding yourself that you're not in control. And that in itself is some people's biggest fear because we're all control freaks and we like to be in control. We like to think that when we're in our head and we're kind of, practicing damage limitation, we're trying to make decisions from a place of fear and we've got a lot going on. We think we're controlling everything. And it doesn't tend to go well when we make a decision from a busy space or from a space of not being in stillness. So she's really good at reminding us that we're not actually in control and we're not in charge. And if we just let it all be there and we sat in stillness with it, we would start to receive the information that we needed to receive about what we were in. And she also reminded me, it's not for you to fix. What if it's not for you to fix? What if it's not for you to change? What if it's not for you to control at all? What if all of this turmoil that's happening to all of us, what if this is all about teaching us how to be still? So many of us are kind of in the process of, which a lot of us only partially understand, of to literally taking our hands off the wheel and handing over to our higher selves. And we can know intellectually that that's the right way and that our higher self has got us and that our source stream has got us and that that's actually how our life is being delivered to us through the heart, not through the mind. And that if we sit in stillness for long enough with the emotion, the symptoms, to receive the information, then the actions to take actually become quite obvious and sometimes very surprising. Very surprising when you give up, you resign, you surrender, you take yourself out of the exasperation about the problem, the pain, whatever it is, and you just talk yourself into, well, what if that's true? What if I'm not in control? What if I do just hand over to my higher self? What's that like? And then just see if you can have a couple of hours where you're really believing that. Just step into that. What if that were true? Ask your higher self, show me what that would feel like. And then just experiment with it. So she says, like your source is not waiting for you to do something before you get your support. Like your support and your love and everything that is flowing to you from source, you might not be able to feel it yet. You might not be able to sense it or taste it or touch it. Source is not waiting for you to achieve something. It's always actually in support of you. And it's just about you getting in line with that. um, Yeah, there's a little story that I'm going to tell later on about what's been happening to me while I've been doing that. I've had some quite interesting synchronicities and like really reassuring messages from my higher self, which has sort of confirmed to me that I am going the right way there. Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to talk a little bit about pain and then I'm going to just go straight into teaching you processes about sort of what to do if you want to go in the direction of exploring your pain or your symptom or your emotion. Um, there isn't actually any right or wrong way. There's just, I always like to offer guidance, and then these processes are always very much for you to make your own because humans are very diverse and we all have different um, ways of connecting in with our wisdom. You guys who are listening to this probably already have a lot of intuition switched on. You're already receiving information. You already know, you have knowing, cognizance, sentience, whatever that is, your superpowers, they're all coming online now anyway. But something that I think is really important to say for this show is it's our physical bodies that are ascending. It's our physical bodies that are making this shift. It isn't our spirit, it's our bodies. So our spirit and our consciousness, obviously we're expanding that all the time and we're insatiable learners and we're going in the direction of truth, personal truth and truth in the world. And we feel very strongly about that. So, um, yeah, like the pain, the pain, I've put it under the umbrella of pain because the processes I'm going to teach are basically, it's the same, whatever it is that you're facing. It could be a circumstance, it could be a thought, it could be a repeating pattern, it could be what you think is an ancestral pattern in your family that you're kind of up against that you can see other people in your family have. Whatever it is, um, starting to explore it, you will receive movement pretty much straight away. But the more that you sit with it, the more that you allow all of that to be there and you're not trying to fix it or change it. If you stick with it for a few days, if you make it a practice and stick with it for a few weeks, I can guarantee that your life will change and it will go in the direction that you couldn't possibly have made up. It is miraculous. So basically, with any symptom or any circumstance, anything that we're up against, you could call this a gate or an initiation or a wall, something like a hurdle that we have to get through. We basically have to learn to uncover and feel all of the reasons and all of the things that have happened to us that have caused that symptom or that gate or that pain or whatever it is to be there. So your body, your subconscious mind is like a tape player and it's just playing you the old stories. Like you've already gone way ahead. Like your consciousness is already way ahead of your body. Your body is lagging behind. So when you get triggered by somebody in the world, by something that happens, an old story gets replayed in your archive. So in your Akashic records, in your subconscious mind, in your body, like a memory is retrieved. You might not be able to access the conscious memory straight away and know what that is, although you might do. But yeah, kind of like an old vinyl record, like a jukebox. You know those jukeboxes that you can see into the workings of them, and you can see when the track changes, you can see the disc and then you can see the needle come down. And like when you get triggered or when there's a symptom that's triggering you or causing you pain or distress, your body is playing the old story that that's connected to. So if you are in physical pain in your body or a symptom in your body or a diagnosis that you've got from the doctor, that is a flag waving at you which is ready and willing to show you things that need to be felt and to show you things that you can actually step out of being stuck in a loop. Um, but you can't just go, oh, look at that. you have to actually be all in, and you have to love yourself enough to go in the direction of that because your body has called you. So you have to know that there must be a good reason and honor yourself enough to do that. And it's not always pleasant, um, but the way that the universe works, and I'm getting more and more evidence for this sort of in my reality, the sort of levels of overwhelm that people are feeling and the exasperation, and they're just hitting the same wall again. And that like total kind of like brick wall kind of feeling is when people are not going into they're not going into the clue. So they're allowing their fear about that to sort of get the better of them. So it's kind of about flipping that. It's like, okay, well, I'm afraid that if I look at that emotion or that pain or that difficulty, that something bad will happen. But if you've hit a wall and you can't get past it, something bad is already happening. So if you sort of see yourself, your consciousness as split, and there's lots of different versions of you, all this is that some parts of you want to go forward and some parts of you don't. So you could actually just set up a little conversation in your head where you're honoring and addressing directly the parts of you that are afraid to go forward, the parts of you that don't want to look, the parts of you that don't believe in that. If you've come up against a brick wall and you can't get past it, it's down to you. It's down to you to open the door and go a way that maybe you haven't gone before. Um, so often symptoms are very much just avoidance. Your symptoms can very often move extremely quickly. So if you've gone into denial or if you've gone into avoidance about a circumstance and you've been trying to put it out of your mind, I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to distract myself with whatever. Um, how the universe works is it will amplify that and it will just make it bigger. So the skin condition will get itchier, or the infection will get more painful, or the pain will increase and restrict you in your life more, or the intense situation with that family person or that friend, something will happen to crank it up a notch. And it does feel cruel. It feels really cruel. It feels like the universe is against us. But all we have to do is look. And it isn't as bad to look as it is when the universe will just drag you there anyway, which is sometimes what the universe will do. But the universe will take you to where you're going, whether you like it or not. But I always think it's better to walk and like get ahead of yourself. Go in that direction willingly by exploring your symptoms and being open to there's a deeper meaning there somewhere in your body calling out to you. So I sort of see whatever it is, whatever your pain is, whether it's a life circumstance, whether it's an actual pain, whether it's an emotion, it's a package of information. So imagine a package of information being delivered to you. It's not one thing. So by the time something is manifesting physically in your body, it's a kind of scrambled up mess of lots and lots of different things. There'll be a theme because of there'll be clues as to whereabouts in your body that symptom is. There will be clues that could help you if you sort of go the Louise Hay route and look at her list. You'll be able to get some clues about what your symptom is suggesting because she realized that there were lots of thought patterns in common that would manifest certain illnesses. So if you've got something physical, I would go in that direction because that's a brilliant starting point and it can save a lot of time. And then when you find that information and then you ask your body, is that true? Yeah, that can get you way ahead of where you could have been. It can sort of give you a head start, really. So yeah, the pain is a package of information that you need to open and you have to consent to that. You don't have to. But in order to receive the information, you have to go all in and then be prepared to acknowledge and hear and witness whatever it is that comes. So it could be emotion, it could be sort of memories. It might not be that. It might just be a general sense of an ancestral pattern sort of that's running through your family. You, at this point, don't need to go back through every detail because sometimes people feel a bit exasperated by the idea of inner child work and all of that, and they just think, I just haven't got it in me to go back through every situation. You don't have to because there's a thing, oh, I can't remember what it's called. The no, it's gone. I can't remember the name of it. When you address a certain energy from a memory, you will be addressing all of the other memories that have that similar theme. And as that's how we're set up, actually, we have kind of core wounds. Whatever you're working on, you will be healing other aspects of your life simultaneously, hence the holistic nature of everybody who tunes into this show and broadcasts on this channel. You will be addressing everything at once. Um, so it is literally as simple as learning how to hear and witness what it is that your body is calling you towards. And it will be old stories. That's all it's going to be. And some of these old stories, it might feel like you've looked at them before. You might feel like I've done this already. But if you're being called by these processes to go in that direction, then there'll just be something that you haven't seen yet. Some aspects of our past, certain things that happened, there can be multiple aspects that need to be seen. And they can't all be seen at once. So it's a lifelong journey, really. Um, I've talked about this on the show before, but I first sort of became really interested in pain years ago, and I think it must have been, um, gosh, I think it must have been round about 2012. I was really struggling with back pain myself, and my little girl was only about 3 then, and I thought that my back pain was from picking her up all the time. So I did just sort of dismiss it, and I did go to the doctor a couple of times, and that's when the doctor said, "Oh, you're going to have this pain forever because if you have pain this bad at this age, it's all downhill from here." He was like, ridiculous, the level of disempowerment there. And I thought, well, okay, that's not true. I just didn't trust him at all. And I went off in the direction of trauma work because I was emotionally having a difficult time at that time. And it was in the discovery of tapping and trauma work that I started to stabilize myself emotionally and mentally. And then over the course of, I think it was about a year, probably a bit more than a year, my back pain had pretty much completely gone. And I was eating popcorn at my body. I was thinking like the whole time I was noticing that the pain was less, but not fully engaging, not really engaging with the pain. I didn't at that point see pain the way that I see it now. I didn't see that I could have gone directly to the pain or talked to the pain or sat with the pain. I didn't really know any of that then. But in the act of working on my own emotion and my own mental patterns and figuring out how to do inner child work and receiving information about my past that I didn't know, because I was receiving these packages of information and opening them and exploring them and going into them, I got like a much broader understanding of what had happened to me when I was younger, compared to a very hazy sort of like in denial, like, I had an awareness that something wasn't right about my childhood, but I never looked. And I just thought, I don't really want to look, I don't really know or understand anything. And I could have stayed in that denial, but the trauma work unwound all of that. And then I experienced that receiving information, everything making sense, and then being able to put a lot of those memories and stories and everything behind me to some degree. But yeah, the the gradual lessening of my pain, I now see as something that I had to witness because I was learning then that physical pain is actually emotional pain and mental pain and limiting beliefs about yourself, and then the emotion that occurs as a result of living your life that way. So I accidentally healed my pain. So imagine what you can do if you intentionally go towards your pain. So along the way, I've picked up lots of information about pain, and I've worked with a lot of veterans have chronic pain. Because if you think about veterans, they're programmed to be killing machines. They're programmed to not be emotional, and they're programmed to actually bury their emotions. So a lot of those guys, they go and do their military service, and then they come out and they've got PTSD, they've got pain, they've got all sorts of injuries. So I've done a lot of pain work with them, and obviously a lot of that work has been around getting them to learn how to feel and to give themselves permission to do that. Because some of them, they feel like they're breaking the rules or they're going against their duty if they feel. So quite a lot of resistance there. So there's actually, to deal with all of this, to deal with physical pain, to deal with symptoms, the first thing I would say is don't expect immediate results in terms of the pain itself or in terms of the symptom itself, but do expect immediate results in terms of opening packages of information. So when you go into your emotion and into your mental patterns and you allow them to be there, you're curious about them, and you say to yourself, what is this all about? You know, I want to get to the bottom of this. I'm curious. What does make me tick? What is causing this pain? And that you're genuinely there for yourself. You genuinely, in that moment, care for yourself. You care for your emotion. You're already like 50% there because a lot of your pain, a lot of your symptoms, a lot of your life circumstances will have occurred because you didn't receive enough care. And that's no judgment, no blame of anyone from your past. But we have just come out of the emotional dark age. We're still in it. And if you think about it, if you had a lack of care or some level of neglect, even if that wasn't willful, even if it was kind of like just by the by, that's just what happened in the 60s and 70s or whatever. If you had that going on, then any level of care that you have for yourself is going to be direct healing instantly. So any movement forth towards yourself in terms of your pain, your emotion, your mental patterns, your beliefs, you're going to be doing a 180-degree U-turn back towards yourself. So it's already an amazing start. It's an amazing start. So there's 4 parts to this. And I'm not going to go into each one in detail because I want you to just make it your own. And I've talked about this on the show before, but I just wanted to do a reminder show kind of about the basics. So um, I would suggest to use tapping, but you don't have to do that. That's just the combination that I've chosen to use in my life. So if you choose to tap, I would just stick to one point, maybe on your thymus point on your chest or on the side of your hand underneath your little finger. And then what that does is it actually helps you to feel more. It helps you to tune into your body. It helps you to be alert, actually. It has quite a hypnotic effect, but not in a way that it makes you fall asleep, in a way that makes you more alert and kind of in tune with yourself and able to join the dots and make connections. Kind of if you imagine like a right brain, left brain communication, there's a lot going on. But ultimately, it's helping to reduce the levels of adrenaline and cortisol in your body a lot. Sometimes, for some people, about 50% when it's been measured, 40 to 50%, which is huge. And if you're a person that's in anxiety a lot of the time, just tapping and allowing the anxiety to be there can be miraculous. So, tap if you want to. But for the purposes of this, I want to focus on just being present with the symptom or with the circumstance or with the pain. So I'll just go through the steps. Step one is basically looking at the problem, looking at the symptom, and allowing it to be there, allowing yourself to focus on that, and just asking yourself questions about it. So, asking yourself questions about the vibe. So, the first step is really identifying the problem, feeling into it. What do I feel about this? What am I making it mean? Step two is about paying attention to the sensation in your body. So if you actually have a direct physical pain, looking at the the physical sensation of that pain. So it might be in your back, might be in your head, wherever it is. If you haven't got a physical symptom, looking at the location of that and the sensation of that. If you haven't got a physical symptom in your body, then the emotion of the circumstance that you're in, or the mental pattern of the circumstance that you're in, what is the energy signature in your body of that? So, what is the physical sensation somatically in your body of that mental pattern or that emotional pattern? And you might not be able to find it at first, or it might be really obvious. You might have like, this is the way that my body feels when I feel depressed. This is the way that my body feels when I feel rejected, or whatever that is. So the first step is feeling into the problem, asking yourself questions about it, exploring your current circumstances. Step two is being in the sensation of that. So being in your body, because it's your body that's ascending. You have to be really present with your body because you're enabling your body to show you this archive that is the answer to your symptom, whatever your symptom may be. So you have to get as present as you can. Step three is locating a memory that this is directly connected to. So this circumstance, this symptom, can you can get to a memory, a core memory that is connected to that thing that's going on for you. And then you can do inner child work if you wish. And step four is a continuation of inner child work, but kind of going in the opposite direction. So meeting the needs that were unmet. So you might not for a long time get through all the steps, but it doesn't matter. And sometimes you might not do them in that order. There is literally no right or wrong way. There's just the way that your mind and your heart and your body chooses to take you. So there's a coherence here. For the purposes of this exercise, you are going to be engaging equally your mind, your heart, and your body. Your body, your mind, and your heart. So your heart being the emotion, your mind being the thoughts that kind of run it all together, and maybe the beliefs, and your body as in the physical sensation of it all. So just start tapping if you want to, and I'm just going to go briefly through each one of those four steps so that you can, if you want to do it along with me, you can. But I would recommend just pausing the replay and giving it as much time as you can. So give it as much time as you can. There's no length that I'm going to give you. This is how long you need to sit with it or whatever. The more time you devote to this and the more curious you are, the more maybe that you even see it as play. Say to yourself, what if it's true that all the answers are inside of me? What if it's true that I can just go into my body and play this tape recorder and I can get this package of information? I can feel this thing that I never felt and it can ease my situation. Just go there. Just imagine what that empowerment would feel like. And then ask your body, what is my way? What's my way to do that? How do I get there? So for the first step, if you've got a pain in your body, if you've got the energy signature of an emotional pain, of a circumstance, just imagine your eyes are in there. So imagine your eyes are in there and you're looking at that place. If you've got an emotion or a mental pattern and you're not sure where to look in your body, just start to talk about that problem to yourself. So you might have this relationship issue. So just talk to yourself about that. So it might be things like, whatever I do, I can't be seen or I can't be understood. Whatever way I try to explain, I can't be understood. Whatever that is, just talk to yourself about the problem. Talk to yourself about your symptom. Because I've got these symptoms, that means that I can't do this thing that I want to do. That means I can't wear this thing that I want to wear. It means that I can't express myself in my truth. So just ask yourself, whatever the symptom is, what is it causing me to not be able to have or to not be able to be? How is it stopping me from being myself? So in this first stage, be really aware of your body, be really aware of your emotion. If emotions come up, just allow them to be there. It might make you cry. It might give you memories straight away. It might not. But for the first part of this, just be in the problem, especially if you haven't been allowing yourself to be in the problem. You might have been scared of the problem. You might have been pushing it away. It might be your biggest fear. It might be something that is destabilizing you or feels like survival. So that survival mode kind of feeling, a lot of people have got that at the moment. So feel into the unsafety of that, all the what ifs. So that's often a sensation that is right down low in the body, sort of root chakra, around the belly, here, kind of emotions. So if you're not sure if you've got a physical issue and you're not sure where to look in your body, or if you've got an emotional or mental issue, you're not sure where that sensation is in your body, just go really deeply into the emotion. Feel the emotion. Go towards the emotion that you normally avoid. Feel it in your body. Feel your skin flush red. Feel that shame that you try to escape from. Allow that to ripple through your body. Because sometimes the resistance of that is causing you so much trouble in your life, in your body, in many ways. Your resistance to just allowing the emotion to be there it's often as simple as that, and that can be the floodgates opening, just allowing that bad feeling. And that's not confirming that you are shameful. That's not confirming that you should have been rejected. It's not confirming that you actually are unsafe. But if you're feeling it, or if you're trying not to feel it, your body's calling out for you to actually feel it. So imagine just stepping into it and being blasted with that angry feeling, with that unworthiness, whatever it is for you. So the trick for step one is to let it be there, allow it to be there. Don't try and make it go away. Don't deny it. Don't fix it. Don't change it. Allow the thing to be felt that you've been avoiding. So that gets you really tuned in. So do that for as long as you can. Pause if you need to. And the whole time you've been in step one, you've sort of been heading towards looking at the sensation, looking for the sensation. So now for step two, if you've got an emotion or a mental pattern, just ask yourself, where is it in my body that I feel this tightness, this tension, when I replay that experience that I can't get over, when I think about this thing that I'm afraid of? What happens in my body? Just look at that experience in your body. So for some people, that's like a churning feeling in the stomach, fear, what ifs. For some people, that's like a tense feeling in the flexor muscles in your hips, like a ready to spring into action, like a survival mode feeling. For some people, it's anger or um, resentment kind of up in the neck and shoulders. It might be a feeling in your legs or in your head or in your shoulders or in your knees. It might be a feeling that you can't even describe to another person, and you don't have to. It might be abstract. It might be kind of patterns behind your eyes. It might be the feeling of static electricity in your body. It might be the feeling of cramp, the actual feeling of pain. Whatever the sensation is, as soon as you know where you're paying attention to, then just go to that place and imagine that your eyes are in there. Imagine that your eyes are looking at that thing up close. And then all you have to do is just be with it and even talk to it. Say hello. I've never looked at this pain before. I've never looked at this symptom before like this. But hello, and sorry it's taken me this long. And I would love to learn more about why you're here and what your message is. And then while you're tapping, just allow yourself to look at it. And just in the process of observing it, and some of you might be familiar with the observer effect. Google the observer effect. Just in the observing and the witnessing of that thing, that energy, you will already be changing it. It was something to do with the observer effect. Somebody was looking at light particle, the behavior of light particles, and they realized in an experiment that the light particles that were observed were behaving differently to the light particles that weren't observed, which is kind of interesting. And um, there's lots of very clever people all the way back through history that have pointed us towards when we observe the energy. So when we observe the emotion, when we allow it, that's when the healing can start. We can't start healing until we observe it. We can't start healing anything. We can't clean the dirt if we don't see it. We have to see it. This is like a classic, when people go to AA and they have to go through that, my name's Jen and I'm an alcoholic. No, do you know what I mean? You stand up and you say, I've got this addiction, and you admit it, because much of the unhealed process is obviously when someone says, I haven't got a problem, I haven't got a problem, I haven't got a problem, I haven't. So it's the same thing. You can't clean up something that you're not looking at. So really quite early on in this process, just the knowledge that looking at the thing is going to help you. Keep looking at it, keep looking at it, keep looking at it. So what that feels like for a lot of people is it might be colors. You're looking at this sensation. So see the sensation as a 3D shape. What shape would it be? Is it an image? Is it forming an image in your mind's eye that you can identify? So you might get memories, you might get textures, you might see colors. And for a lot of this, there's nothing to decipher. A lot of the messages and things, a lot of what you're observing, there is nothing for you to learn. There is nothing for you to know. You're just observing and kicking start the natural intelligence of your body to work on this stuff that you haven't been paying attention to. So you're just going in the right direction. So some of that, it will change shape. It will morph into something else. You might get a memory already at this point. So just have a little notebook, make a note of a memory if it pops up. Just observe and witness that thing. Sometimes you can get messages from the thing that you're observing. Sometimes when I ask people questions when they're in a session and they're tapping and they're looking at the sensation of their problem, I'll ask them questions, if it was made of something, what would it be made of? So it might be made of lead, or it might be made of feathers, it might be made of wire, it might be made of mud, it might be made of wood, bark of a tree. It might be just it might be a vortex or a volcano. Um, it might be like molten lava. It can be all sorts of things, and there's no right or wrong. So often, if you look at the metaphorical images and things that you're getting, when people say, oh, it's hard and it's big and it feels cold, that sometimes is the body's way of saying, okay, whatever the reason is for this symptom, it's because of coldness, it's because of hardness, it's because of something big. Some of those words metaphorically can give you a clue. It can give you a clue. Because I remember my back pain that I had, it was really deep in my body. And I just remember always thinking, it just feels so deep. It just feels so deep. And it has taken me years and years and years to unwind. And the pain itself went obviously years ago, but the emotional pain and the mental pain that sometimes also needs processing, connected to what you unearth, is often a lifelong journey. And uh, yeah, it's just about getting the ball rolling. So yeah, so we've done step two, kind of talk yourself into looking at the thing, feel the emotion, look at the emotion, identify the emotion, be in the story, allow the story to be happening. Say to yourself, this is happening. Maybe I've been trying to deny it, but this is happening. And then step two, really just pay attention to observing and witnessing the actual sensation in the body of the pain, of the symptom, or of the mental or emotional problem. And so step two kind of leads into step three. Once you felt like you've explored the physical sensation, so you've looked at it visually, maybe even auditorily, maybe you've even thought of how it would feel under your fingers if you touched it, or how it would taste, or um, what that would feel like if it was an energy next to you, or like you can do all sorts of things. Like a lot of people like to take that 3D shape of that sensation out of the body and then put it into a bigger space, like a bigger room where it could expand and watch what it does. Sometimes that spontaneous process works really well for people. And your mind can do all sorts of things with the energy if you just allow it to. And you might not understand it, and you might not need to understand it. But always after emotional processing, you will receive information that you didn't know. And that might just be a deeper understanding of something you already knew. There might be more layers to that. It might be something like, oh, I understand now why that person did that from their perspective. It might give you more of a compassion. It might enable you to see another's suffering, something like that, when maybe you couldn't before. So step three is basically working on the memory that comes from um, that sensation. So the package of information is actually mainly what memory comes out of that. So the best way to do that is to ask a question. So when you're really tuned into your body, into the circumstance, into the pain, into the symptom, you've done step one, you've done step two, you're somatically in your body. You probably have already been receiving information and joining the dots. Then the best thing to do is ask yourself the question, okay, so this circumstance that I'm in, this symptom, this pain, which version of me, which old story of me, of which there are millions, which old story of me, which old version of me felt this exact same way, felt this physical sensation, felt this emotional pain, felt this limiting belief? Which one of these versions of me does that make me think about? And then imagine a version of you all the way up through your life, age 1, age 2, age 3, all the way up to what you are now. And then just ask your body which one of these versions of me felt this exact same way. So it might be quite a few, there might be a number of them. And then just make a note if there's quite a few. Oh, it was then, when that thing happened, or it was when I was 32, or when I was 16, or whatever it is. If you look at all of those memories, there will be a theme that connects them. Look at that theme. And then to do inner child work, if you want to go that far, then the best memory to choose out of all of those would be the earliest one. So go with the chronologically the earliest one of that chain of energy that popped up there. You might just go straight to that one. Like you might not have a chain. You might just go straight to that little you. And then, and I don't want to overcomplicate inner child work because there's loads of different things that you can do, but I would just allow yourself to be guided by you. So on a very basic level, allow yourself to have the memory, the revelation. Oh, there's this memory of when I was 5 or whenever it was. And then just imagine that you from 2025, you're going to just observe and witness this other version of you in that memory. So you're going to observe and witness, like you were observing and witnessing the energy and the sensation in your body before. You're going to observe and witness without judgment, without trying to fix, without trying to change, without trying to rescue. You're just going to look at and watch this memory of yourself when that thing happened. So you're not going to be in their head looking through their eyes, re-experiencing that. You're going to be you from 2025, just watching that emotional experience. So you can use tapping for that. And you can just go, okay, what does my inner child look like they're feeling now as I'm looking into that situation? So straight away, you might just go, oh, she's angry. Or you might go, oh, she's humiliated or she's embarrassed. Whatever that is, just allow that emotion to be there. The reason that you've landed on that specific thing is that's your starting point. So feel that with her and just say really helpful things while you're tapping, like, I'm choosing to be with her or him. I'm choosing to be with them, even though nobody was with me. Nobody was with me. Maybe I was on my own. Maybe I was misunderstood. I'm choosing in this moment to be with myself. And I'm learning something new. And I wonder what's going to happen because I'm doing this. And it might feel intense looking at the experience, whatever that is, looking at the emotional experience. But the more you allow that emotion to be there, okay, she's feeling this, she's feeling that, she's making it mean that she's not good enough. She's making it mean that she's not important, that she's not valuable, that she doesn't matter. Look at what that version of you decided because this thing happened. What did they decide? So they might have decided because that happened, that must mean that I'm worthless, or that must mean that I'm never going to be good enough. Whatever that is, just look at the decision that you made because that happened, and then ask yourself, do I still live by that decision now? And then just have compassion for the suffering of that version of you. And just allow it all to be there in the mess. And just know that because you're capable of seeing that emotion in your inner child, that's because it was stuck inside of you. And it's better for you to observe it and witness it than to keep it there. So if you do a really good job of witnessing and observing that emotion will change that you can see your inner child feeling. So it gets a bit magical here. So keep looking at him or her. It might seem like that emotion goes on forever, but just stay with it. Stay with the sensation in your body that that's giving you, feeling that emotion alongside your inner child. And then just keep asking yourself, is it the same? Is it still the same intensity? So that might lessen. And then your inner child, something might change. They might do something different. They might say something different. They might look different. And then ask yourself, what are they feeling now? And then you might realize, oh, they're feeling something different now, a different emotion, or they're having a different thought. So follow them on their journey. So what you're actually doing is you're enabling the stuck fragment of your consciousness that didn't know what to do in that circumstance because nobody supported them to understand what to do with their emotion. So you buried it all. You're just allowing that buried emotion to express itself and for your body to just feel that, and your body knows what to do. There's nothing to do apart from you to just witness and observe that. Work through as many layers as you can there. So stay with the emotion that your inner child is feeling, have compassion for their suffering, and then just enable that energy to move, to be felt, to be heard by you, to be understood in more detail. Allow yourself to receive information that you didn't know about that. And you will think things about that memory, and you will wonder things about that memory that you've never wondered before, because you're starting to turn a subjective childhood experience into more of like you're blending your adult consciousness with that child consciousness. So you're enabling understanding, you're enabling like a closing of the loop, like a processing of a lack of resolution. So stick with that step for as long as you can and keep it really simple. You're just allowing your inner child to be in the state that they needed to be in, that maybe got shut down, or maybe you shut it down yourself. So go through as many layers as you can, and like you can always go back at a later date. If you do go back at a later date, you'll notice a difference in the intensity of that emotional experience in your body and in your mind because you'd already been there. Or you'll notice like a different dimensional way that you're looking at it. So after the first three steps, the last step is actually you can just be really creative with this and do this whatever way works for you. But it basically involves you using your imagination to step into the circumstance with that version of you. So you don't have to go back to the setting of that memory. But I would say after you've gone through the layers of emotion, witnessing that for your inner child, step into connection with your inner child and ask if they would like to go to another place with you. You know, like you could take them to the lake that you like, or the mountaintop, or the beach, or somewhere natural. Take them to a setting that isn't anxiety provoking for you or for that you in that memory. And then basically just set up a connection with your inner child. So you can say, hello, I'm you from the future, and I've come all the way back to help you with your feelings. And you don't have to talk to me, and you can be really hands off because some people's inner children are like, back off, sister, I don't want you coming anywhere near me, don't trust you, whatever. Allow them to just be the way that they are, allow them to be in control. So say, I'm you from the future. I would love to talk to you about your feelings. I've come to help. And they will be curious. And then just literally listen to your body, listen to the picture in your head, watch. Do they want to talk to you or not? Give them a choice. Is it a yes or is it a no? So you will just know. You'll feel in your body. You'll know from an expression on their face or something that they do. If they don't want to speak to you, then you can speak to them and say, okay, well, you can go over there, you can hide behind the curtain, that's okay. You're the one in control. Like you don't have to do what I tell you. You don't have to do what other people tell you. You do your own thing, but they will be your inner child. Part of your consciousness your ears will be flapping and listening anyway, even if they've got their arms folded and they're looking the other way. So kind of see if there's resistance for your inner child, honor it. Probably next time you visit them, there won't be resistance. It might sound a bit crazy because there is actually a trust process that needs to be built up there sometimes for some people, depending on what it is that you've gone through. But when you're in your imagination and you're working with your inner child, like you're working with real energy. It's not a game of pretend. It's real. And it's real because your body is tuning into the real memory and the real energy that was happening back then. So any feeling of that energy or manipulation of that energy or facilitation of that energy to flow is going to affect you in real time. So in a similar way to how your body would be stressed out if you were having a bad dream, you might be dreaming about something terrible happening to you. It's not really happening because you're actually in bed, but your body thinks it's real. So inner child work is similar. uh Whatever you're doing with your body thinks it's real, and it is real, and time doesn't exist. um so yeah, basically take your inner child to another place, a safer setting, get their permission. If it seems like they want to work with you, brilliant. If they don't, then maybe just talk to them anyway and say it's okay, you don't have to listen, but I just wanted you to know this and I wanted you to know that. And just think of all the things you would have loved to have heard when you were a kid. And um, you might even, in the process of helping and supporting them anyway, even if they didn't want to come towards you, they might actually come towards you. So you might win them over. You might have that kind of imagery in your head. You might have that kind of story unfolding. And see it as a waking dream. It's not an accident. When you're tuned into your body and you're intentionally working on healing emotion, it will all just happen. And it's kind of a hard thing to believe before you start this work, but once you've started it, you get it, and you get taken on a journey. It's what a shamanic journey is, basically. And it is very spontaneous. The body knows the score. Your body just knows. Your body knows how to work with your mind and your heart at the same time. It's just about you being curious enough to go along. So in a child work is really just shamanism in a um different form, but the same mechanisms really. So the final step, like the aim, like however you can get your inner child to explain what their needs were that were not met, and then you figure out a creative way to meet those needs. Um, See how to go about that. So um, everybody has different ways of um worship or kind of connecting with source. Like some people will connect with goddess energy, some people will connect with alien energy, some people will connect with ancestral ancestors, nature, spirits, trees. Everybody has different ways in to source. So whatever sort of makes sense for you probably will make sense for your inner child, and whatever makes sense for them will make sense for you. So ask them, if they're willing to talk to you, when this thing happened, when this memory happened that I've been looking at with you, what was it that you most needed that you couldn't get? And then just let the answer bubble up. Don't answer for them. Let the answer just bubble up from the depths, and it might surprise you. So they'll say something like, I just wanted to be noticed or hugged or held or heard. It'll be a specific thing. And then just have compassion for them for that. And then, give them a hug, and then find really creative ways with your inner child to meet that need. So if, for example, they just wanted to be heard, they just wanted someone to hear what they had to say, you can just look at the desires and the interests and the preferences and the good times, the good things that you like to do. How can you incorporate that into this kind of like a fantasy, but it's not a fantasy, because what you're actually doing is you're creating a different story within the energy that was unexpressed. So by in step three, working through the layers of energy, you might have gone through anger, betrayal, rejection, shame, guilt. There might have been several layers of quite intense stuff there. Um, then obviously a lot of change has already taken place. But if you can then do step four and then go in the direction of what you would have preferred, that's makes all the difference in the processing of that energy. Sometimes it's like it completes a circuit and it kind of solidifies in the body. You're not just focusing on the negative stuff, you're bringing in the positive as well. So it's like you're transmuting the energy, you're doing a full circuit. You're not just kind of, okay, I'm going to be present with this and in stillness with this negative energy until it changes. Fair enough, that's great. But then saying, this is what I prefer, having this intentional energy and this is my divine sovereign choice, you know, with my divine authority, this is what I choose for my inner child. And she or he, they couldn't choose that then. And but this is what I choose now with my divine sovereign authority. And then maybe if they couldn't be heard, give them a microphone. Bring down like all the goddesses of self-expression, you know, bring the angelics, like bring the audience that they would always have wanted to speak to. Bring them the people that could never hear them, but with a completely different head on. Bring them the receptive versions of those souls. Let them be heard in whatever way that is. Let them sing. Let them broadcast on the radio. You know, let them but you know, set up megaphones and set up magic spells to kind of like ripple their self-expression through the multiverse. Bring in the unicorns, the dragons, you know, the nature sprites, whatever resonates with you. There's not really any limit to what you can do to meet that need. So just make it as wacky, as creative, as exciting. And the good feeling, the good vibes that you can build up in your body from that, especially after you've just transmuted a boatload of grief or shame or whatever it is. Um, it's massive what you can do in there. Like literally from within, you can change everything. And it is all down to a choice, like a personal choice, a choice to do that or a choice not to do that. And I sort of feel like at the moment, um, we're being like, all of us are being called to choose ourselves, not in a selfish way, like quite the opposite. Like we're being called to choose ourselves for other people because when we choose ourselves, other people benefit from us being ourselves more than when we're not ourselves. So stepping into our solid best self, you know. Um, Sometimes choosing yourself involves making a decision that you never thought you would make, you know, facing up to a barrier in your life that you never thought you would face up to. Sometimes it's biblical. Um, but yeah, there's lots more that I could say. Um, but I have taught for quite a while now, and it is about 6:10. So I just wanted to go through the steps of how to get your energy moving because sometimes a lot of people I'm sort of noticing are going into overwhelm and panic. Overwhelm and panic is when you're not processing your emotion. That's just a build up of not feeling. It's kind of a bit of denial, really, overwhelm and panic. It's a little bit, I don't want to look, I don't want to look. And then everything builds up. So I'm saying go in the opposite direction of overwhelm and panic and look at everything close up. And it doesn't necessarily have to be painful. Some of it will be. Some of it brings instant relief as well. Instant. It can be miraculous. But I hope that's helped anyway. So just approach whatever the pain is. It could be mental pain, emotional pain, physical pain. It could be a physical symptom that isn't really pain, but it's causing some sort of suffering for you, whether that's in the feeling of that symptom or the effect that that's having on your life. Look at that internalized. because you treat it the same way working with energy. It doesn't matter what the thing is, whether it's a physical manifestation in your body or a manifestation in the external world that's causing you pain. You treat it in the same way. All right, I think that's more or less all I was going to say today. So I'll stop there. So if Andy or Kevin want to join in or say anything, you're very welcome.
Talk about things that we experience our own individuals, where we can sort of play around with things and hear somebody else talk about them, but with a different methodology for dealing
Yeah, yeah,
with them. It's always helpful. That's always beneficial, I think. And it's good to have an open mind. It's good to practice that. Keep an open mind. Listen to other methods, other use of exploration to deal with the same things that other people have dealt with.
yeah, and in the spiritual community, like it's easy for us to doubt doing this as well because, a lot of people don't want to go in the direction of what's negative because of belief in the law of attraction. I'll just get more of this thing if I dwell on it. We've been taught not to dwell on it and things. But if it keeps coming back and if you're on a cycle of that and you keep pushing it away, at some point you have to come to the conclusion my body's actually calling me to look at that over and over again. So I just need to do that now. And then you look at it intensely for that 10 minutes or for that half an hour or whatever it is. And then that's it. You've done that. Like you've broken the pattern. But it's proving to yourself that it works, isn't it? And um, yeah, a lot of people are still very much in resistance. But I think that physical stuff is cranking up because people are not doing the emotional and mental processing that I think their bodies need them to do. And it's easy for us guys to think that we're spiritually evolving, and we are, but the we're we're in these bodies, and we have to we have to have our spirit and our body all together because that's our soul. Our body is part of our soul, so we have to move forward with our body. So we have to at some point allow our body to feel all that old stuff that we couldn't. And we haven't done anything wrong, like we just couldn't. We couldn't because of the circumstances, or we had a lack of knowledge and awareness, so we couldn't do what our body needed. But now we can, but we can choose to do that or we can choose not to. But yeah, it's tricky stuff. And I've been doing it for years, and then sometimes I do just get sick of it. I'm like, oh God, like there's so much of it. Like there's so much tension and pain, and it just seems never ending. But um, yeah, everyone's got a different story. Everyone's got a different level of stuff and amount of stuff. It's so interesting to me. Um, but yeah,
We all have journey too, like now it's going find a remedy for the pain, but a healing within that we haven't dealt with.
yeah,
So that it tension in our shoulders. Or, for me, I have a little bit of pain, but I travel. I drove many hours yesterday, so that's to be expected.
mm,
Just from the constant attention to focus, attention to driving.
yeah,
That's how.
yeah, it is. Sometimes there's a
But pain. I think pain can be overcome over time. Like I had sciatic nerve pain, but I thought, well, if I strengthen my upper body, maybe that'll lift my skeleton up. And if I lose some weight, that'll be less pressure on my lumbar spine. So sure enough, I got some dumbbells and started doing wall push-ups. And it strengthened my upper body. And relieve the pressure, to lift it up my spine, to relieve the pressure on the lumbar. Well, it's properly. So it's sometimes intuitive how we deal with pain as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I've got a friend who he had pain in his ankle and he could have gone towards, the doctor's treatment for that, which probably wouldn't have worked out well. And he went and saw some people that had alternative ideas about pain, and they were basically saying, don't go and see a doctor. Obviously, you can't really tell other people what to do, but they were saying probably the best way is to be intuitive with it and to listen to your pain and then to keep using that part of your body, like use it more than you've been using it. Instead of not using it, use it. So do the opposite of what you might normally do. Sometimes that's really good to get that going. Like it can be physiotherapy in itself to actually use that when someone's told you not to use that. But yeah, it is really intuitive. This whole thing is about intuition. It's kind of coming out of the intellect and sort of um obviously we need that as well. We need logic and magic, but it's like blending the two together and maybe asking our body questions as if it was a different being. Obviously it's part of us, but addressing it as if it was someone else. Sometimes you do get answers back that you didn't think you would, and you suddenly become aware that you do have these other parts of consciousness that are willing to engage, but we have to engage first sometimes. Yeah, it's brilliant. Thanks for that, Kevin.
I have to engage my swollen ankles with less salt in my diet, I think.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many variables, isn't there? I think emotion is one of the biggest variables, but yeah, diet and water and salt, things like that are huge, aren't they? And obviously age and genetics and activity, lifestyle, all of that. Um, but I feel like the biggest elephant in the room at this current time is emotion. So I hope that's helped everyone today.
Yeah, it enlightened me so much and inspired me that I created a impressionist painting while you were talking.
Oh, that's interesting, Kevin. Do you paint quite regularly?
Well, when I'm inspired, I'm into Pollock, a guy named Sidney Pollock. He's into that, just, spray it wherever. But I just do it on a miniature scale with watercolors. But I hang it up while it's still drying. So it's got a couple of drip marks. But that makes it original.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice that you're expressing yourself while I'm expressing myself. Brilliant. Win-win.
Perfect time to stop the recording. Unless you've got a few last words that you want to impart upon us.
Um, yeah, I think I'll just say, I think next week, because I think I will be able to do next week, because I've been a bit chaotic with it being the holidays and everything. I think next week I've been putting together like a list of tips for the here and now, because I think that the energies are like really intense and um this whole sort of embodiment process that everyone's going into now and sort of becoming more aware of. I've got like a few tips to share about how to go about the energies that we're in currently. So I think I'm going to do that next week. Um, but apart from that, thank you everybody for listening. And I hope that you found that useful today with pain. And if you'd like to get in touch, look at my website and I'm always open to questions, and I'm always open to helping if anybody's got something going on that they can't figure out. I'm always up for a challenge. All right, thanks everybody, and
Jenny.
I'll see you next week.
I really enjoyed it, Jenny. It was really inspiring.
Oh, thanks,
Like,
Jim.
everyone has their own methodology, like Andy said, but it's good to have an open mind. I've heard it happening before, but it was on the face.
Yeah,
The face.
yeah,
But I guess you can tap many different places, but it brings you to it, a place of balance where you can focus, I think, within and look at the problem or the issue deeply by, and then instead of looking without, like going to the doctor or whatever, you think, oh, what if I tried this or that or
yeah.
uh,
That's a really good way of putting it, actually. Yeah, looking deeply. It's just that's a really good way of,
so I get find my day.
yeah, I think looking deeply, that's a really good way of putting it, Kevin. You know, when you look deeply at what's going on for you, you're gonna definitely get, some responses from your body. Oh, yeah, the it keeps cutting out on the live. I don't know why. Um, but yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
That's all right.
But I'll get that post up in a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, Andy. I think I'm gonna. I'm.
You get a bit paranoid sometimes because I don't know whether it's my end that's not sending and receiving, or whether it's your end or whoever doing everything is speaking. You think, is it me or is it them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No worries. But yeah, I think it was all right. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Andy.